Emily thought she was alone at her father's grave, until two white SUVs slid through the fog and a man in a wine-red suit stepped out. Ariosto Zetici, the name whispered in every criminal circle, stood over Daxton Thomas's tombstone like a ghost resurfaced. And when he said, "Your father died protecting my secret," Emily knew the past hadn't stayed buried. But something else was about to rise. Before the drama hits, type your location below, and when it's done, drop your score from 0 to 10. Ready? Let's jump in. The cemetery lights flickered once, and Emily Thomas thought it was the wind, until she saw the headlights. Crestwood Cemetery looked different at night. Fog rolled between the headstones like something alive, turning marble angels into ghosts and iron gates into prison bars. Emily had been coming here every Sunday for 3 years, always at the same time, always wearing the same red sweater her father bought her for her 21st birthday. The coffee in her thermos had gone cold an hour ago, but she stayed anyway, talking to granite like it could hear her. "I got that promotion you always pushed me toward," she whispered, tracing his name with her finger. Daxton Michael Thomas, beloved father. Still doesn't feel real without you here to see it. That's when the engines cut through the stillness. Two white SUVs rolled to a stop near the gate, their headlights carving tunnels through the fog. Emily's breath caught. No one came to Crestwood this late, not unless they were running from something or hunting it. 4 men stepped out in synchronized precision, their white suits practically glowing in the darkness. Then a 5th door opened, and someone else emerged. He wore wine red instead of white, moving with the kind of calm authority that made the air feel heavier. Emily ducked behind a nearby monument, her heart hammering against her ribs. They walked toward her father's grave. Not hurried, not cautious. Like they owned the night itself. The man in red stopped at the headstone. He knelt slowly and placed a black envelope on the marble. When he spoke, his Italian accent rolled through the fog like distant thunder. "Miss Thomas, I came to keep a promise to your father." Emily's blood turned to ice. He knew she was here. She stepped out from behind the monument, legs shaking. "Who are you?" He rose to his full height, and even in the darkness she could see his eyes, sharp, grieving, ancient. "My name is Ariosto Zetici. 17 years ago, your father saved my life." The name hit her like a fist. Zetici. The family whispered about in true crime podcasts and FBI briefings. The ghost behind half of New York's unsolved disappearances. "Inside that envelope," he continued, nodding toward the headstone, "is the truth about who killed Daxton Thomas, and why." Then he and his men turned and walked away, swallowed by fog and headlights. Emily stood frozen until the engines faded. Then she grabbed the envelope with trembling hands. Inside, a handwritten confession, a Swiss bank key, and a single name scrawled in blood-red ink: Salvatore Kane. Everything she thought she knew shattered like glass. Emily didn't sleep that night. The confession letter lay spread across her kitchen table under the harsh glow of a desk lamp, its edges worn from her trembling fingers reading it a dozen times. The handwriting was her father's. She'd recognize those sharp, deliberate strokes anywhere. But the words felt like they belonged to a stranger. "If you're reading this, I'm already gone. What I did 17 years ago saved lives, but it cost me my soul. The key will lead you to the truth I couldn't tell you while breathing. Trust Zetici. He's the only one who kept his word." Trust a Mafia boss. Her father's final instruction twisted in her gut like broken glass. She turned to his old files, boxes she'd never had the courage to open, stored in the basement since the funeral. Dust coated the cardboard as she tore through folders of case notes, surveillance photos, and encrypted emails. Then she found it. A series of messages between her father and someone identified only as AZ. Subject: the Clemenza shipment. AZ. The dock. Friday. Midnight. I'll give you what you need. DT. And your family? AZ. They won't forgive this, but some debts are worth dying for. Emily's vision blurred. The dates matched. 17 years ago, the same operation her father had been decorated for. The one that dismantled a human trafficking ring and saved 43 people. A memory surfaced, unbidden. She was 8 years old, watching her father come home with blood on his shirt and something haunted in his eyes. He'd hugged her so tightly she couldn't breathe, whispering, "Sometimes doing the right thing means walking through hell." She'd thought he was talking about the criminals he'd arrested. Now she wondered if he meant the ones he'd let go. 300 miles away, Ariosto Zetici sat in a leather chair overlooking the Manhattan skyline. His consigliere, Luca, stood by the window, arms crossed. "The Canes know she has the key," Luca said quietly. "Salvatore sent 2 men to her apartment building yesterday. They're watching." Ariosto's jaw tightened. "How long before they move?" "Days, maybe hours. Then we move first." Ariosto stood, buttoning his coat. "Daxton Thomas kept his daughter out of this world for a reason. I won't let her die for his mercy." Luca hesitated. "Boss, what if she refuses protection?" Ariosto's eyes darkened. "Then I'll protect her anyway." Emily's phone rang at 2:47 a.m., the shrill sound cutting through the silence like a scream. Unknown number. Her hand hovered over the screen. Then she answered. A voice, cold, detached, American, spoke without preamble. "They know you opened it." The line went dead. Emily's blood turned to ice. Emily returned to Crestwood Cemetery as dusk bled into darkness, her father's files tucked inside her jacket. She needed to think, and the only place that made sense anymore was here, beside the man whose secrets were unraveling her life. Fresh flowers lay against the headstone. White lilies, pristine and deliberate. Ariosto's doing. She knelt, fingers brushing the petals, when the sound of engines cut through the evening air. 2 black sedans rolled through the gate, headlights off. Emily's pulse spiked. This wasn't coincidence. Car doors opened in synchronized silence. 4 men emerged, weapons already drawn, moving toward her with predatory focus. Emily scrambled backward, her heel catching on a grave marker. Before she could scream, white SUVs roared into the cemetery from the opposite entrance. Gunfire erupted. The first silenced shot hissed past her ear and shattered a stone cross. Emily threw herself to the ground as chaos exploded around her. A hand grabbed her arm, rough, commanding, and yanked her behind a massive marble angel. "Stay down." Ariosto's voice was ice-cold, steady. His 4 men moved like specters through the fog, each shot calculated, efficient. The attackers fired wildly, panic fracturing their formation. Within seconds, 2 were down, then 3. The last man tried to run. He didn't make it past the gate. Silence reclaimed the cemetery, broken only by Emily's ragged breathing. Ariosto crouched beside her, his wine-red suit unmarred despite the violence. His eyes held no triumph, only grim certainty. "Your father died protecting the files you now hold," he said quietly. "The men who killed him thought they buried his secrets with him. They were wrong." He glanced at the bodies scattered among the tombstones. "And now, they'll come for you." Emily's hands trembled against the cold marble. She'd spent 3 years believing her father's death was random. A tragedy. Bad luck. Now she understood. It had been an execution, and she was next. For the first time since Ariosto Zetici appeared at her father's grave, Emily believed him completely. "What do I do?" she whispered. Ariosto extended his hand. "You survive." The safe house sat 40 miles outside the city, hidden behind a grove of bare oak trees and a rusted gate that looked abandoned. Inside, it was pristine: leather furniture, hardwood floors, and windows reinforced with bulletproof glass. Emily stood in the living room, still shaking from the cemetery. Ariosto moved to a small table near the fireplace where someone had placed a silver-framed photograph. Her father's face stared back at her, younger, smiling, alive. Ariosto knelt before it, his voice low and reverent. "As your father saved me, I will protect what's left of him." He touched 2 fingers to his lips, then pressed them to the frame. "This I swear on my blood, and my name." Emily's throat tightened. She'd expected threats, manipulation, control. Not this. Ariosto rose, his expression weary. "Your father didn't just save my life 17 years ago. He gave me a choice: to remain what I was, or become something better." He poured 2 glasses of whiskey, sliding one toward her. The Kane Syndicate controls half the docks in New York. Salvatore Kane built an empire on trafficking, extortion, and murder. Your father was dismantling it piece by piece. Then why didn't he arrest them? Emily's voice cracked. Because the men protecting Kane wore badges. Ariosto's jaw tightened. Federal agents, prosecutors, men Daxton once called brothers. The words hit like a punch. Her father had trusted the Bureau with his life. Daxton didn't die in a robbery, Ariosto continued. He was executed, and the order came from inside the FBI. Emily's hands clenched into fists. All those years, she'd mourned her father as a victim of random violence, but he'd been murdered by the system he'd served. "The files you have," Ariosto said quietly. "They name every corrupt agent on Kane's payroll. Your father died gathering that evidence." Emily met his eyes, something cold and resolute settling in her chest. "Then I'll finish what he started." Ariosto nodded slowly. "I know you will. That's why they'll never stop coming." "Let them come," she whispered. The decryption took 3 days. Emily sat hunched over her father's laptop while Ariosto's men rotated watch shifts. The Swiss account files opened one by one. Bank transfers, surveillance logs, recorded phone calls. Each document was another nail in the Kane Syndicate's coffin. On the 3rd night, Luca entered the room, his expression grim. "Boss, we have a problem." Ariosto followed him to the basement where Marco, the youngest of his 4 men, sat bound to a chair beneath a single flickering bulb. A burner phone lay on the table beside him, its screen displaying a text thread with an unknown number, package secured. "She's at the Oak Ridge house." Emily's stomach dropped. Marco had sold her location. Ariosto picked up the phone, his movements slow, deliberate. "How long?" 2 days, Marco whispered, tears streaming down his face. "They have my brother, boss. Salvatore said he'd kill him if I didn't." "So you traded her life for his." Ariosto's voice was void of anger, empty of anything but cold finality. "Please," Marco's voice broke. "I had no choice." "There's always a choice." Ariosto drew his weapon, a simple motion, practiced and precise. "You made yours." The gunshot echoed like thunder. Emily flinched, her hands flying to her mouth. Marco slumped forward, lifeless. No dramatic final words, no theatrics, just silence and the sharp smell of gunpowder. Ariosto holstered his weapon and turned to her. His eyes held no triumph, only exhaustion and something that looked like grief. "In my world," he said quietly, "mercy is a luxury that gets people killed." Emily couldn't speak. She'd seen death before, her father's casket, the bodies at the cemetery. But this felt different, personal, necessary, wrong. Ariosto's jaw tightened. You think I'm a monster. I think you're broken, she whispered, like my father was. He didn't deny it. That night, Ariosto dreamed of Daxton Thomas standing at the edge of a grave, his face shadowed and sorrowful. Don't let her become like us, the ghost whispered. Ariosto woke in cold sweat, the words echoing in his mind. The final encryption broke at dawn. Emily stared at the screen as lines of text materialized, emails, reports, ledgers spanning 17 years. Her father's handwriting filled the margins with notes, arrows connecting names and dates like a spider's web. Then she saw it. Operation Collapse. Phase 3. Dismantles Atici infrastructure. Her blood ran cold. She scrolled further. Messages between her father and Ariosto, dozens of them, plotting raids, exposing corrupt officials, coordinating intelligence drops. They'd been partners, allies, friends. But the final entry, dated 3 weeks before her father's death, made her stomach drop. Final phase approved. Zetici elimination authorized. Target, Ariosto Zetici. Timeline, 30 days. Emily's hands trembled. Her father hadn't just worked with Ariosto, he'd been ordered to kill him. She found Ariosto in the study, staring out the window at the gray morning. He turned when she entered, reading the devastation on her face instantly. You knew, she breathed. You knew he was supposed to end you. Ariosto's expression didn't change. Yes. Then why? Her voice cracked. Why help me? Why protect his daughter when he was sent to kill you? Because he couldn't do it. Ariosto moved closer, his voice quiet. Your father had a gun to my head in a warehouse in Brooklyn. He had authorization, backup waiting outside, every reason to pull that trigger. He paused. Instead, he lowered the weapon and said, I believe even you can change, Ariosto. Prove me right. Emily's vision blurred with tears. So, he died because he showed you mercy. He died because someone wanted us both gone. Ariosto's jaw tightened. The corruption ran deeper than either of us knew. Emily wiped her eyes, something hardening inside her. She grabbed the laptop and the files, stuffing them into her bag. What are you doing? Ariosto asked. What my father couldn't. She moved toward the door. I'm exposing everyone. The Kanes, the FBI, the Zeticis, all of it. Emily, including you. She walked out into the cold morning air, leaving Ariosto standing alone in the silence. 2 blocks away, one of Ariosto's remaining men followed at a distance, phone pressed to his ear. She left, boss. Ariosto's voice came through, heavy with resignation. I know. Stay close. Don't let her see you. And whatever happens, keep her alive. The story broke on a Tuesday morning. Federal investigation launched into FBI corruption and organized crime ties. Emily watched the news from a dingy motel room, her burner phone vibrating with calls from blocked numbers. She'd given the journalist just enough, names, dates, bank accounts, to ignite a firestorm. By evening, 3 federal agents had been suspended. By midnight, her apartment was ashes. The photo came through at 2 a.m., her Aunt Carol's house, flames consuming the porch. A message followed. Stop talking or she's next. Emily's hands shook as she threw the phone against the wall. She'd thought exposing the truth would bring justice. Instead, it painted targets on everyone she loved. The motel door burst open. Emily lunged for the lamp as a weapon, but froze when she saw Ariosto. His eyes swept the room, the shattered phone, the blood dripping from her palm where she'd punched the mirror. They found Carol, he said quietly, kneeling before her. He wrapped her bleeding hand in his handkerchief. She's safe. My men moved her an hour ago. Emily's composure shattered. Tears streamed down her face. I thought I could do this alone. You were never alone. Ariosto's voice was soft, almost tender. But now you choose. Disappear with me, live quietly under protection, somewhere they'll never find you. Or finish this, expose every name, dismantle the entire network, and accept that they'll come for you with everything they have. Emily met his eyes, seeing her own reflection in their dark depths. Broken, determined, alive. I choose the second. Ariosto nodded slowly. Then we do this together. He spread documents across the bed, shipping manifests, witness statements, financial records. Their shoulders touched as they leaned over the evidence, planning their war. "Why are you still helping me?" Emily whispered. "After everything," Ariosto's jaw tightened. "Because your father believed I could be more than what I was." He looked at her. Something raw and unguarded in his expression. "And somehow, so do you." Their eyes held for a moment too long. Then they returned to the files, two broken souls forging something dangerous from the ruins. The Kane estate sat behind 12-foot walls and armed guards, a fortress built on blood money. Emily and Ariosto watched from across the street as headlights swept the perimeter. "Last chance to walk away," Ariosto said. Emily checked the flash drive in her pocket, every file, every name, ready to upload the moment they breached the gates. Not a chance. Ariosto's remaining men cut the power at midnight. Darkness swallowed the compound. Then the first explosion ripped through the south wall, a diversion that sent guards scrambling. Emily and Ariosto slipped through the smoke, weapons drawn. They found Salvatore Kane in his study, surrounded by ledgers he was frantically burning. He looked up, face twisted with rage and fear. "You should have stayed dead, Zatici." "So should you." Ariosto raised his weapon. Kane dove for his desk. Gunfire erupted, wood splintering, glass shattering. Emily dropped behind a bookshelf as bullets tore through leather-bound spines. Ariosto moved like a shadow, each shot precise and unforgiving. Kane fired wildly, catching Ariosto twice, shoulder, then ribs. Ariosto staggered but didn't fall. His final shot found its mark. Center mass, clean through the heart. Salvatore Kane crumpled to the floor, eyes wide and empty. Sirens wailed in the distance. Flames licked at the curtains where a stray bullet had ignited them. Emily grabbed Ariosto as he collapsed, his blood soaking through her jacket. "We have to move!" She dragged him toward the exit, his weight nearly pulling her down. Outside, smoke and chaos. She uploaded the files from her phone. Every corrupt agent, every transaction, every murder, sending them to 3 major news outlets simultaneously. Ariosto leaned against a stone pillar, breathing ragged, blood pooling beneath him. Dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of fire. "Now your father can rest," he whispered. Emily pressed her hands against his wounds, tears streaming. "You're not dying. Not after everything." Helicopter blades thundered overhead. "Emily." His voice faded. She held him tighter as federal agents swarmed the estate, their shouts swallowed by the roar of engines and her desperate pleas for him to stay. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and regret. Ariosto lay in the bed, wrists cuffed to the rails, tubes snaking from his arms. 4 months of surgeries had saved his life, just in time for federal prosecutors to destroy it. Emily sat beside him, her hand resting near his. Outside the door, U.S. Marshals waited to transport him to a maximum security facility. Life without parole. The charges stretched across 3 decades. "You shouldn't have come," Ariosto said, his voice still weak. "I know." Emily traced the edge of the blanket. The scandal she'd exposed had imploded the Bureau's upper ranks, dismantled the Kane network, and made her a national figure. but it had also condemned the man who'd saved her life a dozen times over. Ariosto reached beneath his pillow with effort, retrieving a rosary. Blood had stained the beads dark brown. His blood, from that night at the Kane estate. He pressed it into her palm, his fingers lingering against hers. "When you forgive me," he whispered, "I'll come back." The marshals entered. Emily watched them lead him away in chains, the rosary burning in her hand like a promise she didn't know how to keep. 18 months felt like forever, and no time at all. Emily stood at the podium, the Crystal Award reflecting camera flashes, National Journalism Award for Investigative Reporting. Her exposé had changed everything. 12 federal indictments, sweeping reforms, her father's name cleared and honored. But none of it felt complete. On the anniversary of Daxton's death, Emily returned to Crestwood Cemetery. Fog rolled between the headstones, familiar and haunting. She carried white lilies, the same kind Ariosto had left years ago. Then she saw it, a new plaque beside her father's headstone, its brass gleaming despite the mist, to the man who taught even sinners to seek redemption. Her breath caught. "Hello, Emily." She turned. Ariosto stood 10 feet away, wearing the same wine-red suit from that first night. Free. Alive. Real. "How—" Her voice broke. "Testimony against the remaining networks. Witness protection." He moved closer, each step deliberate. "And a federal judge who believed people could change." Emily's hands trembled. "My father believed that too." "I know." Ariosto knelt before her, not to the grave, but to her. His eyes held everything words couldn't capture. Grief, gratitude, something deeper than either. "You came back," she whispered. "I promised." He rose slowly, extending his hand. "And I keep my promises." Emily looked at the rosary she'd carried every day for 18 months. Then at the man her father had chosen to spare. The line between justice and mercy had never been clear. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be. She took his hand. For the first time since that fog-covered night when everything shattered, Emily Thomas understood. Even the wicked could keep promises, and even the broken could find redemption in the ruins. The fog embraced them both as dawn broke over Crestwood Cemetery, turning ghosts into memories and enemies into something that felt dangerously like home. Were you hooked on Ariosto and Emily's story? Drop your 0-10 rating below and let us know your thoughts. Hit subscribe and the bell so you won't miss what's coming next.